Coming up, we got the reason why John Cena campaigned for a UK WrestleMania. Plus, WWE is pushing an NXT star with the it factor, and an Impact Wrestling star was set on fire. It's all in the wrestling news right now. One of the nice surprises from Money in the Bank last weekend was John Cena wabba-doing his way down the ring at the O2. It was lovely, that, wasn't it?
I marked the flip out, Tom. It was like being a little boy again, except I was a teenager when John Cena came. It was like being a teenager again when things were good.
It was like being a man in his mid-20s when John Cena came out. Now, the John Cena bit was all about hyping us for possibly getting WrestleMania in the UK. And I just watched that thinking, they wouldn't say it if it wasn't at least possibly on the card, surely.
It looks like it's coming. We got the reason for it. I think it's something that a lot of people have sort of figured out by now. This wasn't John Cena saying, hey, wait 2 years and it's definitely going to happen. This was about getting the government to stump up some cash, or the City of London to stump up some cash. Dave Meltzer, writing in the Wrestling Observer, the Cena interview was an attempt to create a groundswell that would lead to WWE getting significant money from the local government for bringing the event there, since nowadays they are trying to get major rights fees for WrestleMania and lesser numbers to come in for SummerSlam and the Royal Rumble and outside North America major events, and eventually probably all 12 major events. So we saw this with Clash at the Castle. They got several million to host that event there. It was very, very profitable before they even sold a ticket.
I can see a time where the majority of these major events do take place outside of America. We see it with AEW as well. I know there's been lots of conversations about the numbers that AEW are drawing around Canada, but you know they've just hit over 70,000 for all in Wembley.
For sure. And you know what, if they can get paid for it, it makes sense. You've got 70,000-80,000 people flooding the city of London. You can imagine the boost that creates for the local economy. So I agree. I think we'll see a lot more of it.
It'll probably be more than that. Well, they'll do it over 2 nights, won't they? So
yes, yeah, true.
Even bigger. Alex Davis-Jones is from the All-Party Parliamentary Group for Wrestling. She told BBC this week the APPG has already been talking about how we can help make this happen in whatever way we can in terms of facilitating conversations. Whatever we can do to make the UK attractive to host wrestling on the world stage, we are more than happy to facilitate. We could use our contact and negotiating skills to try and reach out to WWE to make conversations happen and try and promote the UK as a premier destination for world-class wrestling.
So the talks haven't actually happened yet. The earliest that we're realistically going to be getting this is 2026. But it's a dream come true, isn't it?
It would be quite special.
It'd be really nice.
To have it here. It would be amazing. We'll keep tabs on that one for you, don't worry, as WWE are keeping tabs on one particular star in NXT who has a lot of hype behind him.
He's a big boy. We are talking about Tank Ledger. They're super, super hot on Tank Ledger, apparently. To me, he looks like the son of Wardlow and Joe Gacy. It's those two men
mashed together.
Whacked together. Once again, The Observer.
No, this is The Athletic.
Sorry, this is from The Athletic this time. From the very first conversation, you could feel it through the phone, the charisma, the it factor. He has a bright future. This is an unnamed WWE official talking to The Athletic. Ledger also spoke to The Athletic. I've always been someone who loves to talk and get a crowd going, be the center of attention. I wasn't afraid to do that in promo classes. I'm here to wrestle. I'm here to entertain. That is what the company does.
And you would have seen stuff about Tank Ledger fairly recently. He went somewhat viral when, during a match on NXT, he had his teeth knocked out. And they spat them out and put that for his tight. So the tooth fairy can have it later.
There you go. Nice.
Pop that under your pillow. Jobs are good.
What do you think of him?
I like him.
He's not somebody like he stands out physically and everything. I'd like to see him on the mic more than we have done, because from everything that I've seen when he does talk, and I watched some of his stuff prior to Level Up, and there are a few interviews there, the guy does have a certain something. Je ne sais quoi about him. He's good.
I'll be chastised for this, no doubt. doubt. But he's got like a Scott Norton-esque energy about him.
The real deal.
Yeah,
sure.
like I think there's a bit of Scott Norton about our boy Tank Legend.
That's not an insult, by the way.
No, not
That's
at all.
a good thing.
But I know Scott Norton is very revered, and I don't want anybody to revile me for comparing the two.
Least of all Scott Norton.
Least of all Scott Norton. See what he did to that hotel room during Collision in Korea? Oh, my days. Now, Ledger, I think there's something there.
Yeah, I agree. He obviously needs a bit of seasoning. He's still got a long way to go. But it's cool that they've identified something and then can build on that.
Mm-hmm. Now, the Wrestling Observer this afternoon reporting Wheeler Yuta, who is set to compete in Blood and Guts, suffered a hamstring injury in his match with Omega the other night. Right now, however, it is a belief. It's not a full tear, and he should be back just in time for the match on July the 19th.
That's a bit of a worry, isn't it? Because it says right now the belief is.
Yes.
So fingers crossed he's all right, because obviously Blackpool Combat Club, they're already down a Bryan Danielson. It'd be a bit crap for them to lose Wheeler Yuta as well in a big match.
We spoke in our first video about Kota Ibushi coming in to join the Elite. And I initially went, I don't think this is his wheelhouse, but I've since had chats with people and they've gone, this actually is his wheelhouse.
He did a lot of silly stuff and a lot of multi-man stuff. Yeah, it makes sense.
To quote Douglas Adams, I'd rather be happy than right. I'm like, yeah, stick him in Blood and Guts.
Yeah. Do you think it'll be a surprise on the night, or do you think they'll do it beforehand? Depends on his availability, doesn't it?
Yeah, I'd love for it to be. It would nice to be a surprise on the night, but whilst I know that there's a lot of casual fans who may not necessarily know the score with Kota Ibushi, so it would be nice to give it a bit of a run-up. And
that's my thinking as well.
For those who already know him, can go get in. For those who don't, welcome people into the greatness that is Kota Ibushi.
And I think that's really, really important that they do that. It's something that AEW sometimes do well, sometimes do not so well. They assume that the viewer knows more than perhaps the viewer does know. So for people who haven't followed his work elsewhere, I think it's important that they tell that story and get that storyline across.
Here's a story they told on Impact last night. A man was set on fire.
It's not a story, it's legit.
Too legit to quit. So Slammiversary is around the corner. So Bully Ray and Steve Macklin are going to face the unlikely duo of PCO and Scott D'Amore. Scott D'Amore, right, has stepped down from his authoritar position until after Slammiversary. He's been brilliant, right? Canadian destroyers out the wazoo. Last night on Impact, he got into a bit of a to-do with the Good Hands, who blaming him for their recent bad luck. We saw him hitting some strikes. We saw him hit it sky high, like he was D'Lo flipping Brown. It's great. He was going to do another Canadian destroyer, but then Bully Ray and Steve Macklin rock up to spoil the party.
They bloody do.
D'Amore gets handcuffed to the ring, and he has to watch as PCO gets put through the table by Macklin and Bully Ray. But mate, it didn't even end there for poor PCO.
They set him on fire. They set the poor man on fire. I think it's brilliant. I think Impact does silly bollocks better than maybe any other promotion in the world. And like everything that PCO does, I've enjoyed. It's great to see him ascend to the top of the wrestling world. Not in WWE or anything, but top of some of the wrestling world, and just do great stuff. His character work is amazing, and the stuff that he can do is just unbelievable for a man of his age. It's a real feel-good story, isn't it, with PCO? Not this bit.
Yeah,
not I'm getting torched.
The childhood story, the family adventure of a man having battery acid poured down his throat, being doused in lighter fluid and set on fire.
You know what
It's all dogs go to heaven.
Exactly. You know what I meant. It's good stuff, isn't it? It's good stuff.
It is. Do you know what it is? PCO was very open about the character work and his renaissance in wrestling when he joined me on Desert Island Graps the other week. You can listen back to that on the Cultaholic podcast feed. It was really good fun to chat to him. Also, the other day we had a chat with Nick Aldis all about Slammiversary. We got Nick on, who's going to be headlining the show against Alex Shelley. We talk about a few rumours and innuendo around him at the moment and cracking on with that and what he's got in store for Alex Shelley at Slammiversary. It's all on the podcast feed. Get them all for free. It's good like that, isn't it? And for the latest wrestling news, you can check out cultaholic.com. Anything else that I need to...
We got worst wrestling shows coming up with Fraser on Sunday afternoon. It's a certain King of the Ring. Take a guess in the comments below.
How much does this guy weigh? My guess.
And a few lists as well, and then more great stuff next week. As always, you know how it works.
Have a weekend. Do you want to do the Love You Pie? I think it'd be nice to see you do it for a minute.
Go on, then. See ya.
Ruined it.
Love you, boy.